I'm not over yet.
What's up, guys? Your boy Miley back at with another video. So today we'll be checking out the Trae Young trade is terrible. So, Trae Young, he got traded to the Wizards, and in my opinion, I feel like he's going to go through like the same thing, everything, because during the Hawks days, he didn't really have nobody, but he took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now he's going to the Wizards. I always thought with this trade, I feel like he knows something that we don't know, because out of all the teams he could went to, he wanted to go to the Wizards. Like he could went to the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, you know what I'm saying? And he could went to like other teams, but he said he wanted to go to the Wizards. So yeah, he's playing Hall of Fame difficulty. So we'll see what happens with the team, everything. But I feel like he knows something. But right now, the Wizards, they're not doing that good, but they could get a top pick in the draft. So if they get a top pick in the draft, now you got Trae Young too. They might do something. So we'll see. But I want to check out this video right here with this guy. He talking about the Trae Young trade is terrible. So let's see what he's gonna say about it. I feel like the Trae Young trade, um, the Hawks wise, I mean, you got Jalen Johnson and everything, so they look at Jalen Johnson as like the new star for the Hawks. But um yeah, man, it's one of those things like, wow, like I'm kind of surprised, Trae Young, you know, leaving the Hawks like after everything he did for the city, took them to the Eastern Conference Finals, everything. So, but it is what it is. But we'll see what happens, with him on the Wizards. But yeah, we'll see. So I want to dive on into this video. Before we dive on in, make sure I give this video a thumbs up too. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to your boy. So let's dive on in.
Got the Trae Young trade. Trae Young has actually been traded to the Washington Wizards in exchange for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Shams Charania broke the news that the Wizards are acquiring Trae Young, and that's going to end his stint as the face of the franchise as the 27-year-old gets his preferred destination in the nation's capital, as the Hawks are poised to now turn the page on a new era with the emergence of Jalen Johnson and others, bringing a much more fluid style of play around their wings and depth. And I can't believe Trae Young is actually going to be off the Atlanta Hawks now, and I also can't believe it went for this little. Like, it kind of sucks for Atlanta. I know that this is going to be a new era. You're building this team around Dyson Daniels, Zachary Risachet, Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a potential top 5 pick in this draft from the Milwaukee Bucks and the New Orleans Pelicans in that swap that you have. But the fact that, like, Trae Young was one of your best players this century. Like, you have Al Horford, you have Dennis Schroeder, Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, and kind of like Trae Young is up there as well. It's been John Collins and DeJounte Murray and these guys, and Trae Young was a perennial all-star for the city of Atlanta. Like, Trae Young in the 2020 season was an all-star, averaging about 30 points, 9 assists, and shot 36% from 3. He brought the Atlanta Hawks to the conference finals in 2021. He was an All-NBA third-team guy, averaged 28 points and 9 assists in 2022, 26 points per game in 2023, 25 points per game in 2024, 24 points per game, and led the NBA in assists just last season with 11 and a half a night, and now he's a Washington Wizard. We're going to break this trade down. I'm going to give my grades.
Too, like, they were saying something about how, like, certain players didn't like playing with Trae Young and stuff like that. But, yeah, man, it's, who knows, man, when you see them, when you see the guys playing, you wouldn't think that, that it will be bad, because he's averaging 9 assists. That means he's actually passing the ball. He led the league in assists, so he's giving people, shots open, So, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, stuff that you hear, everything about Trae Young is kind of like, wow.
Thoughts and just my initial reaction on the deal that just happened. We'll start off with the Washington Wizards. You know what's crazy? Like, right now, when they made this trade today on January 7th, before I know of any contract extension that happens, I'm giving this an A+. Yeah, an A+ right out of the gate for the Washington Wizards. Trae Young is immediately their best player since, like, a prime Bradley Beal season since a prime John Wall season, and that has been
Word.
5 to 10 years since that. Like Russell Westbrook was fun in 2021, but Trae Young is 27 years old. He's one of the best passers that you have ever had in your organization for your young core that you're building up going forward. And it cost you CJ McCollum, who you were just able to trade Jordan Poole for this offseason, and you got off of that long-term money. McCollum's an expiring contract. And Corey Kispert. Hey, I like Corey Kispert more than the next guy, but I'm not really losing sleep over trading Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum.
I really thought that he was gonna say the Trae Young trade is actually terrible, but he's probably talking about the Hawks wise, probably. But yeah, I was gonna say Wizards got a great pickup. Now you got a star in Trae Young on the Wizards. You got a star in on the Wizards, everything. So I think it's a win for the Wizards, to be honest, because now you got a star to build around and all that. So yeah. Like you said,
For
since Bradley
Trae Young,
Beal,
who's by far and away the best player in this trade. And I know Trae Young has his limitations. I know he's somebody that you have to game plan so much around defensively because he could be such a net negative at times. But Washington shouldn't really care about Trae Young's defense right now. This team has been a bottom feeder in the Eastern Conference over the last 3 years. Basically, since they traded away Bradley Beal in the 2023 offseason, they've been the worst team in the NBA, and they weren't much better than that prior to trading Bradley Beal. They had back-to-back 35 and 47 seasons, and then 15 wins in 2024, 18 wins in 2025. They're already at 10 wins here in 2026, and this team is already basically showing us that this is the most exciting Wizards team that we have seen in the 2020s with the way Alex Sarr is looking. Like, I'm dropping a 2024 regrade this weekend on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed. But I'm giving a good grade to Alex Sarr. I'm giving a good grade to Bub Carrington. I'm giving a good grade to Keyshawn George. The foundational building blocks of this team. You add in Trae Johnson. You didn't have to trade a Bilal Coulibaly. Heck, you didn't have to trade a single draft pick. No first rounder, no second rounder. You didn't have to trade an AJ Johnson or Cam Whitmore. I'm not sure you would lose sleep over those guys either. But the fact that you were able to keep every single asset and bring in an all-star point guard, a ball handler, a floor general, something you don't have for that young core to elevate those guys going forward. So Alex Sarr is going to catch the easiest lobs of his life. He's going to get the easiest looks out of the short roll because teams are going to blitz Trae Young as a shooter. It's going to just do wonders for this young core moving forward with Keyshawn George in the corner, Trae Johnson in the corner. These guys are going to get great looks. And I don't think this is ever going to make Washington a title contender right now, obviously. But the fact that this team can become relevant from this trade is exactly why you do this trade. Trae Young is 27 years old. Now, he does have a $48 million player option at the end of the year, and he's going to either opt in or opt out and get extended, or he could opt in and get extended theoretically. I don't really care what that number is for 3 years. Like, Washington was going to have $40+ million in cap space this offseason, $50+ million, $60, $70 million in cap space this offseason. What were they going to spend it on? There's some fine role players out there. They're not signing a LeBron James. They're not holding on to that cap space for Zach LaVine if he opts out, or Andrew Wiggins. You feel me? Like, getting Trae Young is by far and away anything that hasn't really acted like a big market before can really get out there. And this is just something you could pay $40 to $45 million. Maybe that's an overpay when you're deep in games in the playoffs. Sure. I don't know if I want to pay Trae Young 33% of my cap space, but let's just get to the playoffs first. Let's just get to the play-in tournament with the Washington Wizards, and then we could talk about another issue 5 years from now when we get multiple playoff appearances for the Washington Wizards. That's why you make this trade, so Trae Young can bring this young core to the playoffs, can bring butts in the seats again in Washington, D.C., because it's been a minute since they've really had a raucous crowd by any means. I went to a Wizards-Knicks game about 2 years ago, and man, that stadium was probably like 40% filled on a Saturday night, and I would say 35 of that 40% was all Knicks fans. It was kind of crazy, and I'm just excited to see the Washington Wizards more relevant again. There's a fun Trae Young, Trae Johnson, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr lineup in a way moving forward, and it's just something to get excited about in Washington. So yeah, I'm giving them an A+. I love this. You gave up an expiring contract in Corey Kispert for Trae freaking Young. I think Trae Young has become somewhat underrated out there given his value. Like I said, I know Trae Young has his flaws, but I'm not saying that this is for Washington to make a final move, to go to the conference finals or go to the NBA finals. This is for them just to get to the playoffs, and Trae Young will help this team get to the playoffs because they didn't have to give up anything else. I still love this trade for Washington. I can't say that enough. As for the Atlanta Hawks, I have to give you guys a D for this trade in terms of a Trae Young return. If you traded away Trae Young, maybe in the offseason, you could have
Okay.
gone a little bit more. Maybe there was a desperate team out there. I'm not saying you were ever going to trade Trae Young to the Milwaukee Bucks,
Still
but
on
what
the
if you
Hawks
got
then.
like
I thought he was talking about.
60% of what
Okay.
Damian Lillard went to the Milwaukee Bucks a couple off seasons ago, and you sold high on Trae Young? So yeah, I like this a little bit less for Atlanta, just not a first round pick, nothing to really show for Trae Young in the long term. You wanted to create this cap flexibility moving forward, and you do get CJ McCollum's expiring contract, but Corey Kispert is under contract for the next few years, around $12 million as a 3-point specialist. They're going to get off the Luke Kennard contract at the end of the year. Kispert kind of replaces his role in a way, and CJ McCollum is going to be a de facto point guard at times. You have Dyson Daniels, who's done, honestly, a fine job handling the rock this year. You hope Kristaps can stay healthy. Maybe there's another move as well out there. It's, you know what, I started to feel bad for Hawks fans when, like, I was seeing people online saying Washington is not doing this trade unless we're getting a pick from Atlanta. I'm like, okay, we're getting greedy. Like, Trae Young for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum should be enough for you to get a fleece out of this. Now you want a draft pick? Like, Trae Young isn't under contract for the next 3 to 4 years. It's a $48 million player option for next year. And if he opts in, it's not like Trae Young is 37-year-old Chris Paul, no offense, or 35-year-old Russell Westbrook or whatever when he was in Los Angeles when nobody wanted him to opt in, or John Wall when he opted in, or Ben Simmons' large contract. Trae Young is still a good player in this league and can give you valuable minutes. So I don't think that Atlanta ever should have had to throw in any type of draft capital in this trade. So it essentially goes for just, yeah, Corey Kispert and McCollum. We really can't fully grade Atlanta's side of this until we see how they look without Trae Young. And this year they looked semi-decent when Trae Young was hurt. They were playing some of their better basketball this year. Still not a great team. Still not a team that I think could compete for like an Eastern Conference Finals, but something to get excited about around Jalen Johnson. I think that was the issue as well, because Jalen Johnson has looked so good this year as an offensive playmaker, as kind of a de facto point guard as well, ever since Trae Young got hurt. And you just could not afford the defensive lapses with Trae Young and Jalen Johnson out there at the same time. That was always going to be an issue with those two playing together. So this now allows Atlanta to have just maybe one bad defender out there in Jalen Johnson, and now you have him surrounded by Zachary Risachet and Dyson Daniels and still Kristaps Porzingis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and just guys that could be serviceable for you defensively. I don't know what this means for Quinn Snyder going forward. I don't know what this means for Washington as well. Like, they don't have direct access to their first round pick fully. It's top 8 protected. I don't know. Like, you never know how many games is Trae Young going to win. He's probably going to have some type of phantom injury when we get to February or March. But this is definitely a new era of Atlanta Hawks basketball. Probably a year or two too late to really recoup a good return for Trae Young. But I'm glad they cut their losses, and I'm glad they kind of decided to go in a different direction. So I'm just really grading their return. That's why I didn't give it the greatest grade in the world, because, hey, Trae Young was your franchise player, and you got an expiring contract and a 3-point specialist. I don't really know if that's anything to really get excited about moving forward. But the idea of this team can now be a little bit more fluid, a little bit more intense defensively, and just a little bit more of a downhill attacking team offensively can get you excited going forward. So would love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions from this trade down below. Are we going to see like an Anthony Davis trade next? Are we going to see a Kuminga trade in a week on January 15th, like Herb Jones as well? Will Michael Porter Jr. get traded? Will Giannis get traded? Nobody knows. Let me know down below what you guys think. Subscribe if you're not already. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. Catch y'all on the next one.
Okay, so now this was a good video. In my opinion, I think Trae Young should sit out the rest of the season. That's just my opinion. That way you could tank everything to probably get a top pick. Who knows? But that's what they probably doing. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't let him play for like the whole season. Just come back the next season. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Hawks, everything, it look like, again, like I said, again, they got Jalen Johnson. You could build around him. That's what it look like they're doing. But yeah, Wizards, they got A+ for this. I'm not gonna lie. You bring in a star that you need. So yeah, because last person, Bradley Beal, was like the last like all-star. So now you got a star. You got the star in Trae Young. It gets the city hyped up again. So yeah, Wizards stand up. You feel me? So we'll see what happens. The years that's coming up. See how well he does with the Wizards, everything. But I think Wizards is gonna be fine. The fact that you got Trae Young, stuff can happen, and who knows? The fact that Trae Young is with the Wizards now, maybe somebody's gonna come in and help Trae Young out. The fact that, because Trae Young is a star, that could be a reason why people will come to the Wizards because of Trae Young and everything. So, um, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on Trae Young's trade, and let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe to your boy. Have a good day, stay safe. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.